Hidden between lush green hills and golden farmlands, stood the village of Omioro. It was a place of laughter, unity, and overflowing harvest. For generations, it was ruled by noble kings who treated their people with love and fairness. The crown of Omioro was once a symbol of justice, peace, and sacred tradition, but everything changed 10 years ago. One morning, dark clouds hovered above the village as a new king was crowned. He had once been a quiet, humble man, a farmer's son chosen by the elders. But the moment the golden crown touched his head, his face changed. His smile vanished. His eyes turned cold. Within weeks, he ordered high taxes, seized villagers' food, claimed wives for himself, and punished anyone who questioned him. He was no longer the man they knew. He had become a stranger, cruel and selfish. When he died mysteriously one night, the villagers thought it was over. But the next king followed the same path. And the next. One after another, kind-hearted men turned to monsters the moment they wore the crown. None ruled for more than 2 years. Some went mad, others dropped dead, and one even vanished without a trace. Whispers filled the village. The crown is cursed, they said. It turns good men evil. But no one knew why. No one dared to ask, except for a 15-year-old orphan named Tari. Tari had lost his parents in a farming accident when he was 6. Raised by his uncle, he worked hard and spoke little, but his eyes always searched for answers. While others accepted the curse as fate, Tari felt something deeper was wrong. He could not rest without the truth. One afternoon, while hiding under a mango tree to avoid chores, Tari overheard the village elders murmuring about the new king's growing cruelty. He whipped the boy for smiling too loud. One said, "He took 5 wives this week." Another muttered, "They all change after wearing that crown." Whispered a third, "Maybe the gods are punishing us." Punishing us. The words haunted him. That night, he stared at the stars, his mind racing. "There must be a reason," he whispered. "And I'm going to find it." At dawn, he packed a small cloth of yams and dried fish and set off on foot to a nearby village named Isora. It was said that an old woman lived there, Mama Yud, who could see visions of the past and the future. The journey was long and dangerous. He crossed rivers, climbed hills, and walked through forests that howled with wolves and echoed with strange voices. But fear could not stop him. When he finally arrived, Mama Yud was sitting outside her hut, her eyes closed as if in a trance. Before he could speak, she opened her eyes. "You seek the story of the cursed crown?" she said. Tari froze. Then nodded. She led him into her hut where the air was thick with the scent of herbs. Smoke curled up from a small fire. Mama Yud threw dry leaves into the flames, and her eyes turned distant, as though seeing things beyond the present. 10 years ago, she began, a boy named Obianuju was chosen by tradition to become the king of Omioro. He was loved by all, gentle, wise, and brave. His mother, Idola, was the village's spiritual healer. The crown was meant for him. Tari leaned closer, heart pounding, but a man named Azino, hungry for power, could not accept it. He was a war chief, ruthless and cunning. He poisoned the council and, on the day of Obianuju's coronation, struck him down with a sword, before his mother's eyes. Tari's mouth went dry. Idola was never the same. She took the sacred crown and fled to the forest with her son's body. Days passed. Then, one night, she stood before her son's grave and cried to the gods. Mama Yud's voice grew sharp. She cursed the crown. "Let it carry my pain. Let it destroy anyone who wears it. Let it make them feel the madness of the one who stole my son's life." And then, she took her own life. The room fell silent, but the crown returned, Mama Yud said, as if guided by spirits. And within months, he was dead. No king since has ruled longer than 2 years. Tari sat frozen. His chest felt heavy. The truth was darker than he imagined. He returned to Omoro with fire in his heart. The village had to know. He called for a gathering. Elders scoffed. The current king, already turning cold, mocked him. But Tari stood firm and told them everything. A hush fell over the crowd. Then, an old woman stepped forward with tears in her eyes. "It's true," she whispered. "I lived beside Idola. I saw her bury her son. We all ignored her pain. We said nothing when Azino took the crown." The villagers lowered their heads in shame. Tari raised his voice. "We must find her. We must find her grave. We must ask her forgiveness. And so, for the first time in a decade, the entire village worked together, elders, mothers, children, and even the king. They journeyed deep into the forest, led by Tari, who followed the vision Mama Yud had described. They found the spot, two graves side by side, buried beneath a tree that wept white flowers. There, they knelt, they brought gifts, cloth, beads, yams, and even the cursed crown itself. They placed them at the graves and lit candles. Some wept. Some prayed. All were silent. Tari stepped forward. Idola, mother of the king we never had, he said, we are sorry. We were blind. We were silent. Forgive us. Free us. A wind passed through the trees. The candles flickered, then burned brighter. The villagers felt it, a peace they had not known in years. When they returned, everything changed. The king began undoing every wicked law. He returned stolen lands. He dissolved his forced marriages. He cried before the people and begged for their mercy. He took off the crown and never wore it again. They placed it in a shrine, not to be touched, not to be worn, but as a reminder. And the village of Omioro was ruled not by one, but by all. A council was formed. Voices were heard. The fields blossomed again. Children played without fear. And laughter returned to the streets. Tari became the teacher of truth. He told the story of Idola and Obianuju to every child. He led visits to their graves. And when the villagers begged him to be king, he said, I will lead beside you, not above you. A crown that controls is not a crown at all. The villagers agreed. And Omioro became the first kingdom without a king, and the happiest in the land. At the edge of the village, wildflowers grew around the shrine that held the golden crown, no longer cast, but no longer needed. And from that day forward, they remembered, sometimes, the true curse is not in the crown, but in the silence of those who knew the truth and said nothing. When we speak, when we seek, when we ask for forgiveness, we break even the deepest curse. Thank you all for watching. From the depths of my heart, I really appreciate you guys for watching and supporting me. Please, if you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button to do that. Turn on the notification button so that when I post the new interesting stories you will be the first to watch it. Please comment, like and share to your loved ones. See you in my next story.